Well, we got quite the load here and it's all strapped down, so we're ready to hit the road. Let's see what comes of this trip. Will it be smooth? No, guarantee it won't. That's my tire. What the hell? It's coming back to me. Just hit my trailer. Are you kidding me? How the heck did that just blow off the rim like that? Here it is right back here. Let's go see if it's damaged at all. The tire looks completely healthy. Decided to blow off the rim. It's the craziest thing. Maybe the old rims just aren't exactly what these new tires wanted. I don't know. That's wacky though. I guess I do have a spare. So I guess we'll limp along and, well, yeah, we should change it right at this exit we're at right here. Guess I'll swap that on. What the heck? I was not expecting that. Minor setback, but we will hopefully continue on shortly. We're only an hour and a half into our trip, so hopefully this is not a sign of more to come. Now I did just buy these aluminum rims. This is my first trip with them because I wanted a nice aluminum rims for the new tires, but maybe I got the wrong sort of rim. I don't know what the deal is because there's no failure point visible on the tire. The tire looks completely normal. I just heard a loud bang, looked out my passenger window and saw my tire rolling next to me. So after this happened, my friend who has been a trucker all his life and runs a big trucking company told me that aluminum wheels can eventually wear out since dust and dirt can get trapped in the lip and erode away at the aluminum. So that's good to know now. Sounds like there was nothing wrong with the tire and it was only the wheel's fault. The wheel did look different than the other 3 aluminum wheels I got, so hopefully it's the only one that'll be problematic. All right, got that new wheel and tire on. Although being that we're only an hour and a half into our trip, of our 36-hour trip, and we're already dealing with this, I have no clue what to expect with the rest of the trip. So let's hope I don't have to experience that again. And let's hope that that was just a fluke and not something that's going to happen every hour and a half. Curious to see how it goes. Stay tuned. Shells are pretty killer. Down at 25 miles an hour. I always love a good tunnel. Fresh morning, time to hit the road again. Down to like 16 miles an hour through this cut. Pretty scenery though. Sit here and enjoy it. High port, by port. Well, there's that. Lost a trailer tire. I justified more of the weight towards the front of the trailer to put more weight on the truck since those are brand new tires. But it looks like we still had a little bit too much weight for these old tires on the trailer, so let's limp to the nearest tire shop and get that swapped out. Hopefully I only have to pay one of those bills today. It's right there, but making the turn to back into the bay ripped that inner one off. So now this whole corner's on the ground, so we'll just try to back into the shop bay slowly and hopefully not damage that rim, but it is holding weight now, so see how bad it scuffs up. When it comes to securing my load to the trailer, I'll use chains and binders or I'll use straps. But even more critical than all this is the tool that I use to secure my personal information online and get spam callers out of my life. And that tool is Aura. Aura keeps my personal information safe from fraud and spam, and they are the sponsor of today's video. I know one of the reasons I used to get so many spam texts and calls is because big companies can't keep our data safe. For example, recently Ticketmaster was hacked and the data of 560 million users were put up for sale on the dark web. The data stolen includes full names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, and credit card data. And at best, this is going to lead to so much more spam, or at worst, fraud. All these businesses happily collect their data, but do nothing to protect it. That's why I use Aura to keep myself safe. Aura alerts me when my data has been part of a data breach or leaked on the dark web, and it gives me fast fraud alerts if anyone tries to use that data to access my credit or bank accounts, and it removes my information from data broker websites so I get less spam. Aura also offers a variety of other things like transaction monitoring, a VPN, antivirus protection, a password manager, parental controls, and identity theft insurance. I'm able to get all of this in one app at one affordable price. So if my info was compromised in the Ticketmaster data breach, I wouldn't worry because Aura is always on, always doing the hard work of keeping me safe. If you click on the link in the description below, Aura will offer you a 2-week free trial period. And I think you guys would be surprised to see what information of yours Aura can track down and clean up in those 2 weeks. I know every time I get Aura involved in my life, I'm shocked at how much of my data it's able to find leaked across the dark web. And I'm thankful that Aura is able to get my information deleted from these data brokers. So if you're interested in trying out Aura, use the link in my description below so you can start your 2-week free trial. Alrighty, I'm in Iowa now, and some of these welds have officially finally fatigued off. These two are still holding, these back two are both. Alright, a wind gust blew out this audio, but I was trying to say that since the two back steel pieces cracked loose, the whole truck is starting to lean forward and get super close to my cab. Although surprisingly, it still doesn't hit when I turn because of how curved the pickup truck bumper is. Although we are dangerously close at this point to damaging my cab. You gotta figure out how to jack it up and back, weld these things back in. Here at a gas station now, away from the gas pumps, don't worry. But there's an outlet here with power. So I'll run my little 110 volt welder, try to get this truck situated again. All right, first thing I'm doing is jacking against this rear differential of the crew cab, against this cross member, and that is pushing the whole truck backward, prying up the front as it comes back. Alright, those new pieces are in. I even welded them at more of a backwards angle than I did before. So hopefully that'll slightly combat the truck from shifting forward. But I am coming to the conclusion that maybe hard metal bars aren't the best way to fixate a truck that's trying to flex on top of a trailer that's trying to flex. So perhaps straps and chains and binders and whatnot are the superior way to go. But hey, you know what? If this steel can support this truck, we just have to keep on tacking it along the way as long as we make it to the destination. I'm good with that. So we're over halfway done with the trip. Obviously we had such a creative load that certainly there are going to be bugs that we needed to work out. So everything looks great now. It looks situated, so we'll see how long this lasts. I'll keep stopping periodically to check things out and see how things are holding up. My engine started running really rough and leaking a bunch of fuel out, so about to get all my junk sorted in the cab so we can tip the cab forward and see what's going on. Let's fire it up real quick. Okay, pulled out that number 2 injector line. As you can see, it's supposed to have that nice end on it. And on this side, it snapped off. Here it is there. So, obviously, I'm gonna get real hokey with this and see if I can weld this back together. That's definitely not what you should do with injector lines, but I'm a long ways from home, and that's the only option I have right now. Unless if I get a ride to the nearest cat dealer, and then they'll charge me 300 bucks for this line anyways, so let's try and weld it. Hello there, random drive-through. Don't mind me as I do a little bit of welding right here. Well, I'm not so sure about that. We'll try it out though. The little bit of weld that I added is going to cause the threaded collar to not seat as deep as normal, but I'm hoping that the nut will still have enough threads engaging to seal the tip against its port going into the head. That line is technically installed, so moment of truth, let's start it up. Alright, honestly, I probably should have just ran it home with that little drip you just saw, but I got greedy, tried to tighten it a little bit, and I messed up the threads. So now it's really spewing. So I called up the cat dealer. They didn't have the part in stock for another, they would have to order it and be in here another 2 or 3 days. So I'm trying to not be stuck here for that long. So now I have the valve cover off. That's because these injector lines, there's one underneath the valve cover and then the ones on the outside of the engine. And they pass through that little guy there. So on the other side of that is where I messed up the threads. So I'm going to undo this line from inside, pop out that little junction piece, and maybe try to just weld the line to that. I don't know, we'll see. Well, there's that pass-through piece, and now as you can see, it's all welded to the fuel line, all as one piece. If this ends up working, I'll consider that pretty lucky. After a couple hundred more miles, all that fuel pressure eventually found some pinholes in the weld to leak through. So now it's time to once again simply jack up the cab, remove the valve cover, and undo our injector line assembly so we can try to add even more weld to it, and then put everything back together. Alright, just freaking mega welded now. Don't think there's any pinholes to leak anymore. Still pretty ugly weld. I mean, it's a pretty cheap welder, and some gross metal I'm working with. Well, as you can hear, we're missing on the cylinder again. I just checked and that injector line blew apart all the way this time. So we are gushing fuel right now. Hopefully it doesn't hit the exhaust and ignite. But also the sucky thing is we're 8 miles from the next exit. So it kind of happened in the middle of nowhere. Luckily I'm pretty full on fuel so we won't run out, but we might lose solid 10 gallons just trying to make it to the next exit, just dumping on the road. Nothing I can do about it. I got to get to an exit where I can get some power and try to weld that thing up one more time. I thought I was due for some luck. Thought that last fix would have done it, but can't catch a break on this trip. Well, we haven't been able to catch a break with this injector line. This time it's snapped right in the middle. So I don't know if I'll be able to really successfully weld that back up. All of the previous attempts were really up into that fitting, so I had a lot of material to weld into, but just butt welding line to line, I don't think that's going to work out, or it's not even really worth trying. Also, for anybody that's just saying to try to splice it and whatnot, that's what we're dealing with. Tiny little hole. I don't know if it's showing well on camera, but super thick wall. And we're dealing with thousands of PSI of pressure, so that's why I don't think there's really any good splice options for us. But have enough old trucks here to rob various fuel lines off of, because I found this line, they'll perfectly slot into that. So we're going to try to just return the fuel coming out of that plunger of the injection pump back into the tank. We'll just run on 5 cylinders for now. I don't know if that is any harm to the injection pump. That's why I've tried to avoid doing that previously on this trip, but being that I was forced to just limp this thing 8 miles with that number 2 just gushing without any back pressure, I figure you might as well just keep running it like that. If it messes something up, then so be it. Alrighty, that injector line now comes to this line, which goes, I'll just plug right back into the fuel tank like that. Sounds like it's trying to cough up a hairball. I don't have much faith in it to staying back in here, but I think this guy's place will suit me well. Well, I thought this was supposed to be the easy route to finish off today, but this ground is hard as a rock. I had a 2x6 ran across here under both feet. I completely just snapped the 2x6 and that foot punched down 8 inches into the ground. So now I'm trying to jack it back up because it dropped down on my truck right now. So the little back of the truck's taking all the weight right now. So I can't even drive out of here because the truck's pinned down and just spinning its wheels. And I can't back the truck underneath the trailer to pick the trailer back up because it's all wedged. So the property owner here just went to grab some more lumber. I think we'll eventually be able to massage this trailer level and back high enough to get out of it. We shall see. Nothing can go easy this trip. Nothing can go easy. Well, after 3 hours of breaking tools and wood, fighting to get this heavy trailer back up and hitched back to the truck, we ended up moving it to a different spot down the road where we could drop it on asphalt, where there's an old road that doesn't get used anymore. Alright, time to fix my engine. Got my new parts from Cat. Got the injector line itself, as well as the fitting that passes the fuel through the head and inside the valve cover. I had to get this fitting because when I tried to repair the line on the road, I goobered the old one with weld, so this one's no good. However, it's a little different style than this other one. I couldn't find this original style anywhere. This one had this ear that a nut cinches down on to hold this fitting in place. This one, it looks like it has this tiny groove that maybe a circlip's supposed to clip into, but I don't have one of those, and I couldn't find it in the diagram anyways. So I went ahead and made this little metal tab. It's gonna slot over like that. This metal tab slots over that, and then it'll catch that original bolt hole too. And then I'll push this fitting in so it can rest on that face. All right, that fitting's fully seated. So now I'll get this fuel line in there. And that fuel line takes the fuel the rest of the way down into the injector. All right, that silver line that's not yellow, that's our new line. It's routed in there. Now some of you are probably thinking there's supposed to be some clamps there to add some support to those lines, which there's a clamp holding the back 2 cylinders, those lines, but no clamps anywhere else came on this engine. So I think this engine's old enough to where they thought they could get away without clamps, and then clamps were added in later years to try to mitigate this problem. But for now, we just have injector lines with no clamps, so they're able to vibrate a little bit more than they probably should, which leads to cracking after you put 900,000 miles on them. So I guess we'll just hope for the best. Got a brand new line there. It was even rubbing against the old line, so I was able to slightly massage them out of the way. So maybe that has something to do with its failure. But feeling pretty good. Everything seems pretty comfy in here, so time to fire it up and see if we got it all fixed up. All right, time to go retrieve my trailer finally. Yay, my stuff is still all there. Oh my gosh, I thought this load was never going to make it to North Carolina. Only a little ways more to go and we'll be home. We're trucking hard through the mountains now. The truck's handling these hills pretty good. With the engine firing on all cylinders, it ain't too bad at all. But I don't know if it would have been possible to get through these hills with how I was running with only 5 cylinders running. How's the lighting now? The sunset's blinding me in the mirror. Tunnel time! It's just barely legal height to get through that tunnel. 14.4 on this tunnel. Luckily I'm 14 feet tall, so more control I need to work with. We are finally back, tucked away in the Appalachian Mountains. Just a little bit of dirt roads to go until we're back to the shop. Although we can't declare victory yet because these roads are the tightest and hardest to navigate roads of the whole trip. Just rained, so we're dealing with a bunch of fresh mud. So I guess we're going to need to bring in some reinforcements to get me through this corner. Alrighty, made it around that corner. Well, I just barely got that on camera. I had stub truck held on with one strap, and the grand plan was to cut that strap and then just roll it off the trailer, but the strap ended up snapping. Couldn't hold back stub truck. So that just did its own thing, just rolled on down, but didn't even crash into any trees. So guess we'll take that. That worked out great. Dumping the airbags now, getting these ramps set down. All right, time to tackle the cab over now. We're all attached to the front. Got a winch line going to my 7-ton. It's not as good for the job as that 5-ton wrecker, but it will be a nice solid base, and it does have a 20,000 pound winch, which should do a nice job of easily controlling the same back down the trailer, which obviously we're on a decent hill, so the stub truck happily rolled away on us. So hopefully gravity just rolls the cab over back, and the winch just controllably drops it off the back. All right, the skid steer is applying some upward force to the front of this truck right now. So now that there ain't much weight, I'm cutting the steel pieces out. 2 still remain. Keep going so we can get the ramps on.
I'm starting to tilt a little bit.
A couple more inches.
You'll be off these.
I know.
Watch in the trailer there, boss. It would appear so.
Well, I thought with how fat my ramps are back here, that if I ran down this edge, which is where it was kind of lined up for me to go, that this tire would run down this ramp fine. But nope, it immediately dropped right off right there and caught the bedside a little bit. You can see some truck paint there. Slashed that tire, bent that bed a little bit. I mean, that's pretty repairable. You can just barely tell it's tweaked. So we can straighten that back out. This bed was rusted out anyways, I don't really care. So yeah, could have gone a little bit smoother, but honestly, that trailer's empty. We successfully got that load all across country and everything's off the trailer now. So I'm pretty happy, pretty pleased. Glad that's all over with. Now we can just get on to working on these projects.